Hi guys, this is AUI 2000 with a Neo replay reveal. This replay is actually probably my favorite replay that I found in Dota over the past few years. I've watched this fight with every single one of the teams I've worked with or played on since I found it. After I watched this fight, I actually thought LGD was going to win TI because I was just so impressed. And what I'm going to be focusing on from this replay is one team fight in particular. And I think a lot of the Dota Pro scene has been really hesitant to go over concepts or stuff that they know about the game just because they want to maintain a competitive advantage, which is unfortunate because there's a lot of really great minds out there in Dota. But it's okay because I'm a tier 2 shitter, so it doesn't really matter what I say anymore. um, Anyways, there's a lot of concepts that go into team fighting that I won't be able to cover, but the focus on this video is going to be why you want to, as a core player mostly, why you want to protect the backline. At the same time, it's also like, as a support, why you want to be in a position where you can be protected in the backline. So, this game is from China Dota 2 Supermajor, which was June 6th, 2018. It was versus Virtus Pro and LGD. I think at the time these teams were by far like easily top 4 teams in the world. I actually don't remember, but I'm just gonna assume they were just really good, right? So I'm going to try to break down how I like to think about fights. I think there's a few ways that how Dota players think get taken out of context, and one of that is like you just watch something um, with no sort of context at all, and you don't try to think about what they're thinking or why they're making decisions they do, and that will sort of stagnate how you learn about the game. Blah blah. I don't really know what I'm talking about right now. I have some notes in front of me, but I'm really bad at this. So first I'm just gonna watch the team fight that I want to show. I'm gonna watch it with full vision just because to give you a sense of it, but later on we're probably gonna watch it with some limited vision so you can get the same sense that the players do in game. Okay, so I'm gonna slow this down a bit. So right now VP is up 3k. They've just used their ultimate, so I'll give you some quick context. And LGD know that if they get their ultimates up, they're going to lose the next fight. So LGD are just like, screw it, let's just walk into Roshan. So anyways, they're in Roshan. You know what? Put on network tab. So anyways, VP begin with a really good disruptor ulti. This is an egg disruptor ulti. The carry of LGD dies without pressing a single button. He's just dead. So this is how the fight has begun. Ame is dead, no buyback, didn't get any spells off, didn't use BKB, didn't use Blade Mail or anything. It looks from this position like VP are ready to win this game. If they get this Roshan, the game's over. They're going to wait for ultimates, they're going to break high ground. They have DP, they have Beastmaster. But instead what happens is that LGD end up winning this fight somehow. Spoiler alert. And I want to talk about why that is. The fight begins with Dyer's carry dying without doing anything. He didn't even really tank any spells. He tanked like a Lion Sun, some OD right clicks, and Eggs Disruptor, which was also on 2 other people. But LG win this fight 3 for 1 and force an OD buyback, which is like an insane margin of victory. And DP uses LT. So before I go over clip, as I mentioned before, I want to give everyone some context. This video might end up being long because I'm really inconcise and I don't know what I'm talking about. I didn't do my notes well enough. So basically, nah, you guys have to watch the whole video. I was gonna give a summary, but I can't do that. Let me see, I'm reading my notes. So I want to give some context of what the LGD players are thinking for this team fight. Throughout games as a pro player, generally you're thinking about a lot of things. Like Dota has a lot of things going on, but you're generally trying to come up with your win condition. So sometimes for a support that can be like getting a really good ward so you can get a team fight under it. Getting the map in a really good state so you can see what your opponents are doing and then you can like play the map and get your win condition off that. Some players are really good at visualizing what their condition to win a fight is, or who they want to jump. Do you kite out a BKB, blah blah blah, do you need an item timing? Anyways, so basically Dota for me is a game where you're constantly thinking of the next move to give your team an edge, and ideally the edge is like, oh, this edge is going to win us the game. So whenever you watch these fights, basically it's valuable to look at what happened before in the game, before the spot you're trying to analyze and try to understand why people are playing the way they are. So basically, that was my really long-winded way of saying you need context to understand player decision making, which I already said, so I don't know why I said all that. But yeah, anyways. So I want to go back one fight. So the fight before this was at 40 minutes. VP do a really nice smoke. This is one of my favorite smokes in Dota, where you just smoke really quickly and you go to the center of the map and you kill whichever idiot pushes out the mid lane. It's a really strong smoke. You'll see it a lot in pro games when you start looking for it. So it's VP smoke here. Let's go to VP fog here. So they place a ward so you can see off ground. The sentries, they have a ward, but they know they don't see him. They see a witch doctor to the side. This guy's like, oh, free kill on this guy. These are like, okay, this guy has him alone. So when we go on this guy, we know they're on the top side. They're gonna come down, and we're gonna cut them off. So Solo does a nice blink in. He catches this guy, catches this this witch doctor's dead. Witch doctor buys back, flips this guy. Boom, 2 kills, just like that. Now LGD are crazy psychos, so they decide to commit to this fight. Like, okay, let's go, you know? He commits BKB, which means that DP knows that this guy's committed to a fight because he uses BKB and Rupture, so he also pops BKB and goes. This is sort of a concept I will brush up on very briefly, but basically the easiest way to know that you need to cast your BKB is when they cast their BKB. Because you only have a few options when they cast BKB. One is, you're so strong you don't need to pop your BKB to fight, which is like an ideal scenario. 2 is, you need to kite their BKB, because even your BKB you can't fight them. And 3 is, you know, you just pop your BKB and fight them, and you're sort of on even ground. Worst case scenario, you both pop your BKB and nothing happens. But then, like, there's a lot more nuance to that, but that's the general idea. I hope I'm recording. I'm recording. I'm Gucci. Yeah, so let's watch this fight. So I want to look at no one in this fight. He uses Hex on the Witch Doctor, and he's just waiting. He knows that his win condition in this fight is to kill a core with this Blink BKB Hex. So he's just waiting, he's waiting, he's waiting. Boom. Ember gets caught by Roger's eggs, and no one's just like, boom, you're dead. So now VP clearly won this fight. Witch Doctor bought back. I think he dies again. Does he die again? X Nova's too good. So he trades a kill, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot dead on both sides. But if I were in, if the player whose mindset I want to get into is actually Solmus Ems, because he just died in the last team fight, and he has 90 seconds. Let's go back to that. As soon as he dies, he has 90 seconds where he's dead, and when you're dead in Dota, you don't have to do anything. So you're just thinking about how you can win the game. So if I was in his position, what I would think is that if OD gets a jump on me and Hex ultis me, I'm going to die, because the only save that he has is a relocate and a Greaves, and it's probably not fast enough to prevent OD from Blink, Hex, hitting you twice and ulting you. And they have nothing through BKB either. So if he jumps me on Ember, the game's I'm gonna lose a fight. So the conclusion I should reach is that I can only win this fight in 2 ways. One is if I have vision on Dumb and I'm the one jumping them, because then obviously you get your BKB off, you get all your spells off, and then if he hexes you and blows his entire load on you after you use BKB and all your spells, you might still win that fight. Whereas if they have vision on you, he hexes you and blows everything, blows you up before you use anything, you're going to lose that fight. Like, that's just a sort of natural conclusion. And the second one is that if I have the Aegis, he can't jump me. So I'm going to win that fight, because even if I get jumped, I'm going to come back and BKB, and I'm going to win this fight. And then he should also understand that OD and DP have popped their ultimates, and they're all the damage on this Radiant team. So even if these two are dead, and these 3 go 1 target, okay, they have Lion, so this is a bad example, but that target probably won't die in a team fight. Or they'll have to blow everything to kill, like they'll have to roar, finger, and disrupt ulti one hero in order to kill him. Where if OD and DP are alive, like whoever they go on with a +1 just dies. Yeah. So basically, oh, sorry, what I wrote is basically like OD and DP have the only sustained damage in the fight as well. Like if the fight breaks out and then you kill these guys, the other 3 heroes are useless for like a while in the fight. Maybe Lion gets a second round of spells off, but like if OD and DP are dead, it doesn't matter because they're going to be disabling you, but they won't do any additional damage after the initial like finger disruptor eggs burst. So with that in mind, we'll go to the perspective of Solmus N here. And I think it's pretty interesting, like, to think about, with that context, how he's going to think about this fight. So he's dead for a while. He's thinking. We're going to go back to the 23-30 minute fight. And we're just going to see that how he prioritizes his fight. And this is really beautiful to me. So they go into Roshan. His carry dies, you know. Feels bad, man. So he gets out the Disruptor ulti. He's not dying to it. Sorry, I'm just speeding up. He kills the Disruptor. This is like a free kill. And then... So normally I think what would happen here, in most pubs, is my Ember Spirit, because I only play a Psychopath on NA server. Why does it say Terrorblade? Okay, he has 2 Remnants left. He has his Flame Guard. His Beacon is out. I think 99% of the Psychopaths I play with on US servers would double Remnant on this Beastmaster and try to kill him. This Beastmaster has used Roar, he used Nullifier, he used Force Knife, he used Blink, he used everything. But everyone would go on him. But instead, what Psalmist M does is like, this is like my favorite thing. He doesn't even care about this Beastmaster. He pans his camera up, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna kill the high value target. Instead, he gets to go on this OD, and he kills OD before OD can Astro himself and then blink out. And that's just genius to me. I know it sounds really simple, but like, it's just a really good play from him. And what happens instead is he's kiting towards these supports, and what would normally happen, imagine he chased this Beastmaster, is that Ramses and OD would clean up his entire backline. They would kill the Witch Doctor, they would kill the Isle, boom, 2 heroes dead, and then the Ember wouldn't be able to run into them alone. So instead, yeah, so that's really good. And instead he comes here, you know, he chases this DP, he forces out the OD buyback, and in conclusion, in this fight, he kills OD, he kills Disruptor first, then he kills OD, and then he helps his backline to keep his Witch Doctor and Isle alive. So he kills 2 heroes, and he saves 2 heroes on his team for a total of 4. Like, that's effectively 4 kills, right? Like, -2 for another team, 2 for you. And then he forces out buyback, which in my opinion is worth even more than a kill at this point in the game. Especially with this Roshan up. So, basically, just because of this one, like, thing where he moved his camera up here, and he killed them here instead of chasing this Beastmaster alone, he won his team the game, in my opinion. This is like the most pivotal moment. This map is so weird, actually. It's like 2 years ago, I can't understand it. And the other one I want to understand is that this is not just a core thing. I think that X-Nova has continuously been one of the best supports in Dota for the past few years, and I'm going to show you guys why, what it means to play 5 in these situations. So, his team gets gone on here, right? Pause. So he's here, his cores are getting gone on, and what I would do, because I'm not as good as X-Nova, in most cases is, I use my spells, I would try to reset the fight to get another round of spells off. But instead, what this guy does is that, shit, they're going on my cores, this guy has no buyback. This guy has no buyback. Who's the other guy in there? Brewmaster? It says Lone Druid, what the? This guy also has no buyback. I need to throw my body in, because if they die, we're going to lose the game. So he just walks in here. This monster just walks in here and he draws aggro away from his cores. And then while he's talking about this, he's drawing away this DP who's like in the highest net worth in the game. He's attacking the 5, who's the lowest net worth in the game, instead of his DP going on his Ember, protecting his backline, or going on the Wisp, protecting his backline, etc, etc. Helping his Lion who's getting gone on. His Lone Druid low. And you can see here, X-Nova, he's even calling, like if you watch his player perspective, like you can tell, or for me, I could just tell, like he's telling his core to help him. Like look at these two, drop here, and then he doesn't like, you know, he's like fighting towards the end. He uses Glimmer, he gets his ulti off, he gets all his spells off, and boom, they turn it around. So this play to me was like really great team fighting by X-Nova and Baby, and you can see why they won the fight based on that. So now I want to go over how VP could have played the fight better. Because Dota's a really complicated game and mistakes happen all the time, and I think when you're in these replays you want to look at those mistakes and not just analyze like, haha, he misclicked his ulti, what a dumb noob, but try to understand why these mistakes happen so you can sort of integrate it into your own gameplay, like what will help me avoid making a similar mistake, and how can I force these mistakes even, you know, if you want to go to the next level. I think it's worth knowing that these guys are like at the very top of Pro Dota, and I get the benefit of going over this in 0.25x speed with full vision and having gone over it like 8 times, whereas they're making like split seconds decision and etc. And the reason I do this, I analyze these mistakes and go over it really slowly multiple times, is because Dota is too complex to constantly think on the spot of like what you're going to do. So I think that you need to form like bases for concepts about how you want to play, and you have a general guideline which you can branch off out of in order to make your decisions. It's like I know I think about Dota a bit differently than a lot of pro players, but for me it's like you have like a general flow chart, and it's like if X happens, like this is going to be the general response to it. It's not always guaranteed to be a response because Dota is really complicated, but at least you have a basis to go off of. So I think that there are two main mistakes from VP in this fight, and I think every mistake in Dota with players of this caliber is generally going to be like a communication or team mentality or individual mentality based off the team mentality mistake. I think it's very hard to correct like, oh, you should have pressed your ultimate better, compared to, hey, I think you should have ulted this guy because he's a higher priority target because XYZ. And like the second one helps you improve and the first one's just flaming. And I mean, I've been sometimes vocal about like not liking when casters criticize players for certain things. I think a lot of it is because I think a lot of times they don't like display the context and they're just wrong. But the other part is like, you in a cast it's very hard to get in depth enough to make criticizing a mistake worth it, like so that anyone learns from it. I mean, you can criticize just to have fun too. Like, I mean, I'm actually okay with that. But yeah, sorry, I'm rambling a bit too long. So let's go back a bit more to VP's perspective. So VP, they didn't win the last fight, but they should feel like the fight is theirs as long as they have their ultimates up. So right now, VP do not have their ultimates up. 45 seconds for this, 70 seconds for this. They have vision of Roshan, and they should be thinking that the fight is won as soon as our ultimates come up. We can start poking them, but we shouldn't hard commit. I'm gonna go to VP vision here. So I'm okay with them taking this fight, but I want to watch in particular two things that display the mentality of like VP's wrong mentality for his fight. And the first one is I'm gonna watch the line, and the second one is I'm gonna watch the Beastmaster, which is sort of weird because like these are like non-key heroes in the fight. I'd say like the key heroes are DP and OD, but I think they display the mentality of VP in this fight pretty well. So I'm gonna watch Solo. So he knows they're going to Roshan because they understand that if OD ultimate's up and they get Aegis, like if they pop DP Ghost in this pit, they are going to win this fight. Like I don't care what happens, they're just going to win. That's just how life is. Because if Dire has to run into them and they have the position on them, it's very hard for Dire to play. Anyway, so Solo comes in. He has a great angle here. He got a nice ward out here. They have a Beastmaster Hawk. And he comes in here. He hits the 6 stun. You know, he blinks and hits the 6 stun. But I think if his mentality is to take a kiting fight to wait for this DP ulti in 10 seconds, this OD out in 40 seconds, he shouldn't stay committed here. I think what he should do here is he should use his finger right away. He shouldn't try to chaos with it like a noob. I'm not saying he's a noob, but you know, my friends all chaos with line finger. He should finger right away, he should hex, and then he should kite left to his team. Because if you go back a bit more, and you look at this Dire vision, they know that all the Dire heroes are in this area. So if you kite this way, then you know that your team will be able to back you up, and Dire will have to run into you. So instead what happens is that he stuns in here. You know, he gets relocated out, he uses Hex, but he's still committed here. Like I think if he fingered Hex and then he ran left, this Brewmaster wouldn't have the opportunity to blink on him. And even potentially, he could have still had his Hex after he hits his double stun. He doesn't have to commit it. He fingers this guy, and he hexes this guy, and DP and him just kill him right away. And all of a sudden, this fight's different. Instead, what happens is that Lion dies because he's overcommitted in this area, and Chalice blinks on him. Really good decision making by Chalice as well, of course. But I think this mistake is like Solo's mentality. His team's mentality is not like, okay, after we kick off one target, we kill this Mudseeker, we should try to reset the fight because we're going to fight a 5v4 in 10 seconds when our cooldowns are back up. If you kill a target with all your spells, you've killed one target, you're fighting 5v4. But it's not really a 5v4 because your 5 heroes don't have some cooldowns. So even though they're down a hero, they might still be stronger than you. And again, this is the next thing. I think we can go back here. VP are saying this fight, again, with this like sort of more stally mindset and like a bit more defensive in the fight to play for resetting your spells and stuff, because they have a lot of low cooldown disables with glimpse and line stun spells and stuff. I want to just look at this Beastmaster Solar Crest usage. So he comes in here. No, he gets a good roll off. He kills this guy. But I think this like sort of tells the tale that VP aren't thinking about. This is really confusing with the names, guys. VP aren't thinking about the fight right, because he actually uses Solar Crest on the Witch Doctor, and this seems really small, but this item gives. Oh, what did it give back then? Actually, this was a long time ago. This was like 4 years ago, but 2 years ago. I don't remember anything. But in my opinion, he should be Solar Cresting his OD, because they should understand that if their sustained damage dealers stay alive, they're going to win this fight. And you can imagine this fight, if he Solar Crests his OD, like there's a chance that when this guy goes on OD doesn't instantly die here. He gets Astro off and he blinks out and he's able to reset the fight with another Hex in like 3 seconds after Astro. So what I want to say is like, these mistakes, they seem small, and it's hard to categorize them as individual mistakes. But you can see like the mentality of the team going into this fight was really off, whereas the mentality of LGD going into this fight was really good. They're like, protect the backline, kill this OD, and we're gonna win the fight. Anyways, I have the benefit of hindsight here, and like I don't even know what they were thinking, so this might not even be accurate. Venomancer. But for me, this is why, like, and it's really hard to do this in the moment, but for me, this is why when you simplify concept like this, like, oh, I should always protect my backline, I should kite towards my team, it makes it a lot easier to invoke a proper reaction in game, which makes you a better player. And again, like, I think if you're playing scrims or whatever, you're playing with your friends, like, these mistakes shouldn't be blamed on individuals, but rather like how your team's talking. Like, if the core is saying like, keep me alive and I'll win this fight for you, then maybe he would Solar Crest no one here, for example. And then on the flip side with LGD, like, you can see how they're talking, it's really helping. Like, X knows like, yo, help me up here. And he can even like give a direction for his teammate to look, and then Solomon knows, he's like, oh shit, we talked about this before. I just go up here instead of killing the Beastmaster. Instead of getting this one kill on Beastmaster, I kill OD, I force a buyback, I save my 2 supports, and I traded 3 kills and a buyback for 1 kill. And then he feels really good, right? So anyways, I just, that's pretty much all I have to talk about. I just want to really quickly go over like what the aftermath of this fight is, basically, because, you know, I gave some context for the fight before, sort of how Solomon should be thinking about it, and afterwards you can see like the result against one good team fight. Basically, Dire know that OD have no buyback, so they're just oh, I'm watching for a wrong fog. They know that OD has no buyback, so they can go to Roshan to force him in this area. They get a clap on this guy, and the moment that they see this OD who has no buyback, they can all in him. You can commit all your resources to kill the OD because he has no buyback. So wait for it. Is this the wrong fight? No, so see OD here. As soon as they see this OD, look at this. Everything goes on him. See OD? Where's this Ember Spirit? He's just in there. And they're gonna just chase down this OD. They commit a Rupture on him, they commit everything on him. Even though they die, they have buybacks, they can just keep running at this OD. Doesn't matter where he is, keep running at him. Because he has no buyback. If you kill him, he's dead. He's glimpsed on Ember, but he gets this Remnant off, they kill OD, and the game's just over like that. So this game, even though VP had like pretty commanding leads throughout the entire game, this one fight here, which they make OD buyback, and then basically just wins them the game. And now OD no buyback, all in him, GG. Sorry, that was really long-winded. I actually don't know how long that video was, but that probably should have been like a 10-minute video, and it wasn't. So anyways, there's a lot of potential future videos on other teamfight concepts. I like looking at stuff in Dota like this a lot, just because I find it really interesting. I think people are really smart in this game. You can learn a lot from them. I thought of making videos on like how to use buyback, for example, like why this OD buybacking was so big, or concaves, overextending, you know, why you hold positions, your teamfight win condition, you know, playing off saves. There's like dozens of more topics just because Dota's such an interesting game. But yeah, this video was just too long, so what I'll do is I'll make sure I visit them in my next video, which will probably be in 4 years. Thanks for watching.